I'm still pretty new to it, so like, I think the last video I sent, it was quite strange because I kind of got it going, but the the base mesh, the high resolution mesh, um, was actually kind of like overlapping with the lower poly LODs. Um, but luckily, there's a good way to kind of make sure that that doesn't happen. So what I've done, obviously, this is just to visualize it, but the low and super low models are red and green. So this is, oh, usually there's a bunch of, oh yeah, yeah, so this is the 10,882 one, and you zoom out and you can kind of see, it actually, it's interesting, like, when I was like scrolling through these LOD levels, I was expecting for the low resolution ones to kind of change as soon as you get to this bit, but actually there's a bit of like fall off. I guess that's designed for like transitions and stuff. I'm still quite interested in messing about with the different ways that kind of stuff fades in, like crossfade. I'm not seeing too much of a difference. But yeah, so the red one's 5,611 triangles, and then, oh, there we go, the green one is 3,000 roughly. And it's quite good to have this and just do a little walkthrough of the level, because that way you can get an idea of how it will actually look, like the distance in game, and if there's any issues. So yeah, you can see, kind of got to be this close, and only the highest, the LOD 0 is has a collider, which is only a capsule collider, so it's not really like demanding, but obviously as soon as you're far away enough for it to change to the red or LOD 1, then you're not going to be close enough to collide with it anyway, and mesh colliders, obviously if you can get rid of them, then your game's going to run better. So yeah, then you can start to see them all turning green, which is like the 3001. It's quite interesting too, because I made like a separate prefab, which was literally the tree, but then two trees stuck on it. If you can see here, so the two tree, well no, the three trees that I've attached to this are just separate prefab. The trees that are attached to it are because they are the prefab with the LODs attached. You can see them changing, but I think the big, like the kind of base, for some reason wasn't derived from that original prefab, so I must have kind of duplicated that somehow. I just imported it, applied the textures, created prefab, and then took the other prefab. But yeah, so that should be pretty easy to fix, but just this kind of like coloration system is good for checking stuff like that, because ideally the base tree will also have LODs. I didn't really talk about the sound design in the last video, but it's been really satisfying listening to John's work. I think it's funny. I think the sound of the urchins is actually from the Wild Thornberries, that kid, which is probably more. I don't know if he's meant to have like Tourette's or like he's just become a full-blown animal boy. I think it's a shame because I do believe that this is a placeholder because ultimately it'd be better if we had someone to do like an original voice acting thing, and it's a shame because like I think the sound works very well. Here we have another tree. I'm pretty happy with the distance of the LEDs. Like, oh, there you go. Yeah, I think generally because obviously it's noticeable with the color, but the geometry itself is at the distance which I've set. It doesn't seem too glaring. I think for certain things it will just be easier to completely like swap out the geometry with lower poly instead of creating LODs, because like a lot of these fences, like these ones here, they've just been taken from pieces of that fence. And it kind of makes it difficult to create LODs because like these fences have been kind of made from other pieces within Unreal, not Unreal, Unity. So it's harder to kind of go back into yeah, because they just don't really exist in any other program. And the whole idea of creating LOD is you want it to be like fairly similar in shape. Otherwise, obviously, when you walk a distance away from it, then it will start to do some crazy, noticeable pop-in. I've also removed the abyssal arms. They were kind of just sat around because I was hoping that yeah, I don't know. I was hoping that they could be made into a game, but I feel like because we have a backlog of more important things in terms of programming, that at this point I feel like I might as well just take them out of the level because they are pretty high poly, and if they're just sitting around in the level without much of a chance of becoming like the idea was that the abyssal arms were going to be kind of like static enemies where they couldn't move, but if you went too close to them they would like attack you and stuff, like knock you off cliffs. But I guess that's the thing, like it's it's fun creating all this stuff, but at the same time like you have to accept that not all of it is going to make it. It's definitely something I want to incorporate in future projects and stuff. But yeah, that's just a little update on the tree LODs, and a little technique for making sure that they're working and just a way to visualize it, because it is tricky, like they're designed to not be noticeable as they transition, so yeah, it's kind of it's almost like, yeah, not noticing them is the goal, but then you kind of want to be able to notice them whilst you're implementing them to make sure that they're working. There's a little glitch of some kind. Yeah, I'll probably do some of these logs just because it would take like 5 seconds, because I just retopologize them so I can just remove some edge loops. So that would take like 5 seconds to create like a couple of LODs of them. There are certain things which I think in hindsight, like for example if I can show you, yeah, so like these mountains, is there a way to even, okay, yeah, so here's the wireframe. If you look closely, a lot of these are triangles, and most of the things that I kind of hand retopologized are like made of so hard to see, yeah, made of squares. Even though I suppose in engine it actually triangulates them anyway. But for this like cliff asset, I use this thing in ZBrush called Decimation Master, and what that does is just tries to stay as close to the original sculpt as possible, but just recreates the mesh as triangles, and that kind of worked at the time, but in terms of creating LODs, it's quite tricky because if you hand retopologize something, usually you have edge flow and edge loops that you can quickly select the entire edge loop and just remove everything, which yeah, you can't do. So I'm not really sure how to approach the cliffs. I think I might just retopologize them. The only problem with that is that because they'll have completely different UVs after retexture them, which shouldn't take too long because obviously I'll have the high resolution sculpt to derive a lot of the detail from, so it'll just be kind of like layering up the different channels and masks and stuff in Substance Painter. But it's just one of those things where I didn't really look far enough forward in that because I didn't understand that a decimated asset isn't easily retopologized for LODs. But anyway, that's all I have for today.